All right, today we're pulling back the curtain on something that's, well, fundamental to how the modern web works, the Java servlet. If you've ever wondered how a website goes from being just a static page to a full-blown interactive application, you're in exactly the right place. Let's get into it. So let's start with a thought experiment. Imagine a world where every single web page is just a fixed, unchanging file, kind of like a page in a book. How would you log into your bank account? Or add something to your Amazon cart? How would Netflix have any clue what to recommend to you specifically? Yeah, you couldn't. That static world is incredibly limited, and we need something way more powerful. And that something more powerful, that's the servlet. It's the technology that bridges that huge gap between a simple click and a dynamic, personalized experience. It is, no exaggeration, the backbone of Java web applications. It's working tirelessly behind the scenes, making all the magic happen that we just take for granted every day. To really get a grip on what a servlet does, we're going to follow the journey of a single web request. Think of it like a round-trip ticket. It starts the moment you click a link and ends when brand new content pops up on your screen. It's a pretty cool process, actually. You know, what's great is that this whole complex dance really just boils down to 3 simple steps. First, your browser shoots off a request to a server somewhere. Second, our hero, the servlet, catches that request and gets to work. Maybe it talks to a database, runs a calculation, or checks your password. Then third, it whips up a custom response and sends it right back to your browser. That's it. So, now that we've seen it in action, let's put a formal definition on it. A servlet is really just a special kind of Java program. Its whole purpose in life is to live on a web server and act as that crucial middle layer. It's the ultimate go-between, taking messages from the outside world, your browser, and translating them into actions for the main application on the server. Okay, so we've seen what a servlet does, but how does it live on the server? Like any program, it has a very distinct lifecycle, and understanding this lifecycle is really the key to seeing why servlets are so efficient. So let's take a look at a day in the life of a servlet. And this is a great way to think about it: birth, work, and retirement. The server manages these 3 phases for us, so we don't have to worry about it. There's an initialization phase to get ready, a main service phase where all the action happens, and then a final destruction phase for when its job is all done. First up is birth, which in the code is the init method. Think of this as the setup phase. When a servlet is needed for the very first time, the server creates it and calls init. This is the perfect place to do any expensive one-time setup, like creating a database connection. And the key thing is, this only happens once. Next comes the main event, the work phase. This is the service method, and it is the absolute heart of the servlet. So while init only runs once, service runs over and over and over again. It runs once for every single request that comes in. This is where all the real logic lives, processing the data and building that dynamic content we talked about. And finally, every servlet has to retire. That's the destroy method. Right at the very end of its life, maybe when the server is shutting down, this method gets called. It's the server basically saying, okay, your work here is done. It's the servlet's one last chance to do some cleanup, like closing that database connection and releasing any resources before it's gone for good. So we've covered the request flow and the lifecycle, but why does this all matter? Well, because understanding servlets isn't just some academic exercise. It's the absolute foundational block for building powerful, dynamic applications with Java. This is your first real step into the server side. So, if we just boil it all down, what did we learn? At their core, servlets are the web server's specialists. Their job is to grab a user's request, do something smart with it, and then generate some kind of dynamic content in response. And they do all of this inside a super efficient, managed lifecycle that handles all the setup, the work, and the cleanup for us. And that's really the big takeaway here. Getting these concepts down is your first and most important step into the world of server-side Java development. In fact, this whole idea of a managed lifecycle, it's a core pattern you're going to see again and again in almost every modern web framework, even ones that have nothing to do with Java. It all builds on these fundamentals. So, I'll leave you with this question to think about. You now understand the core component, the very backbone that makes the dynamic web possible. So, what's the first interactive feature you'd want to build with this power? A user login system? A shopping cart? A real-time comment section? The possibilities are pretty much endless.